Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast. If you're new here, my name is Adri, and I'm just a regular gal, navigating through faith, life, mental health, and healing, all these different things, and who's willing to share whatever it is that I've learned, or however it is I'm feeling led to be vulnerable about on the internet, in hopes that it would be a joy and a blessing to you, and so that you'll realize, you know what, I'm not alone. I'm gonna be okay. There's so much grace in every day. Despite of what your brain tells you, it's gonna be okay. Okay? Okay. I will say I am a little bit tired. Well, a little is an understatement. I am very tired. I just got back from a 2 to 3 day work trip, and on the way back, my brother and I took the train. Okay? On the way to the convention, or on the way to that work trip, we rode in the van. That was an 8-hour van drive, and then coming back we took the train, which was a 12-hour-ish train ride from Bangkok to here in Laos. So I am exhausted, and I'm gonna do my best to edit this in a clean way. I'm also going to do my best to bring my thoughts together cohesively, which hopefully will end up the way I'm hoping this episode to be. Anyways, I wanted to talk about imposter syndrome, and I wanted to talk about, oh my word, the importance to being you, the importance of being authentically yourself. This is my opinion, okay? I'm not gonna throw this out there to just say it, but I think every single one of us has our own flaws. Every single one of us has our own shortcomings. And if we're not careful, we tend to overemphasize those shortcomings in our minds, where we don't even get to see the good that we can do. We don't even get to see the gifts and the talents that God has given us, or that we've been blessed with, or the skills that we've trained over the years. So when we're not careful with the way how our mind treats us, and with the way how we navigate through challenges, especially good challenges that will grow you or elevate you into a person, we can very, very quickly self-sabotage that. And we don't even realize how damaging those kind of conversations we have with ourselves, how damaging it is. And this week, I was really sitting on such thoughts, and I've been genuinely frustrated with myself. One day, I am building the life that I want, serving the Lord how I believe He has created me to serve Him, and things are going great. And then the next day, I feel like, man, I'm not worthy, all these different things. And as a believer, when I get stuck in my mind, and I think of things like, man, I'm not worthy, all these different things, we can quickly label that as humility, not realizing that talking that way to ourselves can be coming from a place of fear and pride, in a way we're trying to protect ourselves, rather than coming from a place of gratitude and being like, hey man, I've been blessed with these things. This is crazy. I can't believe I get to do this. What a joy and a blessing it is. I can't believe I get to touch people's hearts and lives. And it doesn't matter what your career path is, whether you're doing business, you're in the medical field, you're an engineer, you're a preacher, you're a teacher, you're like a blue collar worker. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but what matters is the things that we tell ourselves, and the opportunities that we often squander and squash because we are too afraid to take that step forward. And that is how I've been feeling this past week. And my brain has been a silly little goober about it. And I often find myself like, man, I'm so frustrated. I'm so angry. I wish I could just change this thought. Not realizing that the fact that I'm questioning such thoughts is already a breakthrough. Not realizing the fact that I'm aware my mind is thinking of those things is already a win. Okay, also, if the video gets dim, it's because it's raining outside. It's also 4 p.m. It's getting dark here. But regardless of that fact, imposter syndrome, man, and the way I've been talking to myself has just been so negative, and it's been so self-defeating that I literally had to look at myself in the mirror and just be like, stop. You need to stop. You need to stop talking to yourself this way. You need to stop like criticizing yourself, labeling it, or calling that, a means of improvement. Everybody has space to grow. Everybody has room to grow. Everybody has areas to improve. But if you keep doing that to yourself over and over and over and over again, what are you going to be left with? You're going to be left with nothing. And I hate doing that. And I'm honest enough and I'm vulnerable enough to be like, I do this to myself. I do. And I'm not going to lie to you. I want to quit. I want to quit. And yet here I am. There's something in my soul and my spirit that just keeps telling me, just keep posting, keep sharing things you're learning or you're navigating through, because someone out there is going to need it. And you have no idea. I was like, there's no way nobody's going to need it. Guys, when I was at this work trip, somebody came up to me and said, I am a huge fan of your podcast. I was just like, what? This is crazy. This is crazy. And somebody came up to me and was just like, hey, I've been listening to your podcast. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being vulnerable. It has helped them grow in their faith, and it has helped them like just be more open to just growth and improvement for themselves. And so when I was like, oh my word, I never would have thought that my videos or things like this would have touched somebody's heart and life. I've gotten like a few messages as well from other people from the snippets or like the short reels that I take from the podcast, and I post it on TikTok, I post it on my Instagram. And as I sat there and I was reflecting on what these people had shared with me, I realized like I need to remember my why. That when you're battling with imposter syndrome and figuring out how you're going to be authentically yourself, you gotta remember your why. Why are you doing it? If it's for people, if it's the self-pleasing aspect of you, well, that you got to dig deep into that. Don't just cover it. You got to dig deep into that and ask yourself questions why. And your brain's going to freak out for a bit because it's not used to questioning the thoughts that are coming or flooding into your brain. You're so used to receiving without even questioning it. And you're just like, when you're finally aware, you sit there and you're like, what on earth is happening? What is my brain doing? And so remember your why. Why, at least for me, like I had to ask, why am I filming? Why do I do this? Why do I show up every week with this podcast? Why do I edit these reels? Why do I post it even though I'm afraid? Because again, my people pleasing in me is just like, man, I'm not going to get any views or all these different things. And I realized that there was something in me that taught myself that my worth and my value and the content that I put out is defined by the likes or the views of the people. And I don't know where I learned that, but it's there. And finally calling that out and being like, no, why am I doing this? My purpose and my reason. And being honest with you, I don't have the full scope of that answer just quite yet, but I know enough that the reason why I started a podcast, that the reason why I am posting these snippets of lessons that I learned on Instagram and on TikTok is because somewhere in me the little girl in me wished I had the me today to look up to. And I can't help but think and wonder if there are people out there who needed somebody to see, who they needed to see somebody who was willing to be vulnerable. The last thing I ever want to do with this podcast is every time I set up and I film is to pretend to be somebody who I'm not. And I'm still discovering or on the journey. I'm still in the journey of learning who I am. And I have a feeling this is going to be a lifelong journey. But I've learned enough to know that I want to walk with people. I want to be honest when I fall, when I make mistakes, when I hurt people. I want to be honest enough about that. I want to be honest enough when I've made mistakes and it's fully my fault and my responsibility, but I also want to be honest enough of how difficult it is to receive and respond to things that you've done good about or good for. And I want to flip that script. And as I'm flipping that script of my mind, I want to share it with you. So, yeah, this is the first time where I just kept yapping and yapping and yapping. And hopefully all of that made sense. But I hope and I pray that this week, as you're ruminating and you're thinking about the things I've talked about on this episode, imposter syndrome and being yourself, I hope that you will find the courage for you to step into that too. It's going to be scary. It's going to be crazy. Things would have to change, but I believe that change is always a part of life, and it's a part of growing, and you need it, and we all need it. We need to be open to that, and it's okay. That even if things change around us, I know who doesn't change in my life, and that's God. And I can hold on to Him. I can hold on to the reality of His steadfastness and His faithfulness, even when my identity is shaky. And I'm trying to figure out who that is. And whether, again, I keep saying this, whether you're a believer or not, I'm not going to shove this down your throat, but there is a constant being outside of us who holds it all together. And it takes faith to believe in Him. It does. The more I learn to trust God with my path and my future, but also with my relationship with Him, the more I realize, okay, I don't really know you, and it's gonna take some more faith from me to trust you, to trust the real you, not the you that my mind made up over the years. So yeah, I hope that all of this makes sense to you, and I hope that you find yourself, like I said, again, you'll just find yourself asking those questions, not from a place of self-criticism, but from a place of curiosity. Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much about it. Also, I did not charge my mic. I should really invest in a podcast mic. Maybe when the podcast lifts off. I don't know. Anyways, that's pretty much about it. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all next time.